Alright, video response, I guess, to, dopey old wise monkey apparently made a video. And I was reading the comments, and that stupid rose bushy guy made this stupid remark. I just thought it was kind of funny, considering that, wise monkey's pulling the old nihilist crap again. And it says here, yep, it's all futile in the end. However, I will never exist in the end. So whatever it is futile there, so whether it is futile there is of no concern to me. Now, isn't that just typical? So if there's a World War IV, 5, 7, 9, if the future of the human race is potentially locked in thousand-year wars with AK-47s, just the darkest, bleakest Terminator kind of existence imaginable, and then a slow erosion and ultimate demise anyway, then all this bullshit, that's irrelevant to you. It's meaningless. If that's the probabilistic future for the human race. Yeah. See, that's nihilism. Nihilism is saying, yeah, life is stupid, so, let's have some beers and forget about it. Not worry about it. Let's just worry about our life. That's nihilism, assholes. You don't even, there's no even arguing with people that just use labels like that are just so inaccurate. I mean, it's a direct contradiction to the philosophy. So how can you, what's the point of using a label that's a direct contradiction? It's just stupid. So anyway, so his first video he made was laughing at the subject, like, ha 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 ha. It's just silly. So then he gets pwned on that mockery. I think he removed that video, actually. It was just kind of lame, this editing of history. And so now he's made this video where he's not laughing, now he's just angry monkey. So let's just play this piece of crap. And it is a piece of crap. Very big crap.
Right, we'll get fed up with this.
Oh, you're fed up. Right. Why are you fed up? You know exactly what has the conversation done that is just worthy of fed-upitedness. Okay, what exactly? Have they somehow gotten into your life? Have they? No, they haven't. So no, this is just more, well, I don't know how to argue it, so I'm fed up.
Antinatalist crap. And the sort of diseased psychology that it...
Yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, so this is what you call like a reasonable response. You have such a dominant argument. Your belief system is just so much more superior, and yet you have to resort to this. I mean, this is the best you got. You don't have a logical argument defending life, so instead all you can do is attack personally somebody who disagrees with you. Yeah, pretty lame.
Adheres itself to that philosophy. In other words, these individuals volunteer
Marr.
the idea that humanity, women, families, young loving couples, etc., should be recommended and stopped from breeding.
My word, what a disgraceful suggestion. In terms of the fact that, yes, life might just well be pretty damn stupid, and yeah. Look, there's been two arguments at least made. Okay, one of them is the imposition argument. Okay, do you have a response to the imposition argument? The fact that you don't have any informed consent, it's not a reliable experiment. It is essentially like building a nuclear power plant when you're not sure how it's going to turn out, when you're not sure that it's fail-safe. Alright, it's the same kind of playing with somebody's welfare game. And so you explain why that's okay. And then argue the fundamental argument, which is human beings create desire, want, need, expectation, their need machines. I've used that term, you must have heard it. Respond to the idea that human beings are need machines, that they don't create productivity, that they create exactly the opposite. They create the liability that can create waste. They create the vulnerability to waste. That they actually don't produce anything to justify any expense. But those are the two arguments, and you haven't touched either one of them with anything close to anything other than a stick with some poo on it. That's all you've done. You've gotten a stick with some poo on it, and that's all you've done. You slap your little poo stick at the idea, but you haven't hit it with a logical argument. Silly monkey.
Subversive. Subversive to progress. It's subversive to progress.
Exactly how would that be? It's an idea, number one. It's a suggestion, number two. There's nothing, it is not in any way confining progress. It's basically saying, well, number one, progress isn't even going to be possible. If population continues to grow at the rate it's growing, you can't have progress because what you have is chaos. You'll have to throw so many resources at the chaos created, the inefficiency created by overpopulation will absorb so much resources that you won't have time to do the progress thing. You won't have time to do the leisure, look in the stars and look through the microscopes and figure out how things work, and enhancements in technology and all that stuff will be stifled by excess population. So even that argument goes nowhere, even if it was correct it's neither correct in actuality or in theory.
Subversive to culture.
Well, my word. I mean, so that's the standard now. Are you going to defend the culture that it subverts? Do you have a defense for the culture it subverts? What culture would that be? The same culture that enslaved other human beings? The culture of the British Empire? Kings, queens, noblemen? What culture exactly is it subversive to? It's subversive to the notion that you have a right to do biological experiments for which you can take no responsibility and for which you cannot control. Yeah, it is subversive to that notion.
It's not good.
No, no, no.
It's not sensible.
No, 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 no.
It's not pragmatic.
Pragmatic? Is it accurate? That's the point. Is it honest? Is it the truth? Does it have a rational foundation, a logical base? Are the premises within the realm of reasonable? You want to try to make one of those arguments instead of this, whatever it is, stupid monkey?
And it defies everything that humanity has striven for in its history.
Right, so all we've striven for in our history is to maintain. It's just to keep doing the same shit over and over again. So I guess we were striven to have World War III. I mean, it's just part of our striven path that we will World War III. That we will again pay a horrendous price to accomplish absolutely nothing but clean up the mess that silly humans make, because they don't have any control over their addictions and their desires and their petty emotional nonsense, and they will in fact break more than they ever fix. That's what they've striven to do. Crap monkey.
Now, I got a really simpering, vapid comment on one of my previous videos. Listen to this.
Okay, I'm listening.
Regarding my notion that humanity's evolution will continue.
So humanity's evolution will continue. In what sense? Again, so if you don't qualify this idea of evolution, you're out of the ball game. All right, we're not evolving by natural selection, and we're not evolving by intelligent selection physically. That game is way over. Whether or not our intelligence can evolve is another issue, but that's really the whole argument of the anti-natalist, is that it has evolved. We found out the truth. We are a consequence of unintelligent design initiated by a single piece of protein, a little piece of goop 4 billion years ago that reproduced itself and has run amok for 4 billion years. And there's nothing sacred about it. There's nothing brilliant about it. There's nothing purposeful about it. It does absolutely nothing but create little machines that basically compete with each other in a pointless competition to be king of an irrelevant mountain. And it's a dismal, sad, and pitiful circumstance that we are the victim of. That's what the evolution of knowledge leads to, is an understanding of the context of our existence, which isn't happily ever after. It isn't frogs that turn into princes. It isn't rainbows with gold little buckets at the end of them. It isn't any of that mumbo-jumbo and fairy tale. There's no heaven in the sky, little angels and little happy faces. No, none of that has anything to do with the fucking truth. The truth is sad and dismal and pitiful. And that's the evolution of knowledge. So on what ground do you call where's this room for evolutionary progress?
Addressing the notion that humanity's evolution will continue, ultimately resulting in our ability to surpass any difficulty and the eradication of pain.
Right, it surpass any difficulty, but the basic dynamic, which is make a cake, chase a cake. You know, make a donut, chase a donut. I mean, it's a game for a dumb horse. You put a little carrot on a stick in front of it, and it chases the carrot on the stick. Now, you're saying human beings won't evolve to be a little smarter than a horse. Yeah, I think they have. I think that's the problem.
And suffering, upon which antinatalism bases the entirety of its basis or foundation.
Well, the basis is that if you idiots were chasing your carrots and you weren't stepping on anything while you did it, there was no screaming, no pain, no suffering imposed. Imposed is the key word. Imposed, do you understand that word, imposed? Then everybody could just say, well, fine, go ahead. Knock yourself out, crazy fuck. Okay? But that's not the truth. That's not the reality. And so, yeah, you're the one with the problem. You have to justify it with some sort of evidence that it's accomplishing something. There's some sort of real value here to justify you know, the horrors that have taken, the Black Plague. I mean, pick one thing and just say, okay, justify the 10 million people that died of AIDS, right, or some number like that. Justify it. Go ahead, give it a shot. Explain why it's worth it.
The comment reads thus. The comment reads thus.
Thus.
Is even a perfect future worth the price of the billions of now dead but formerly living and suffering sentient creatures that make up its foundations? My contention is that not, and the potential sentiments of the future would not ask to be made to exist in a perfect existence if they knew it was built upon such horrendous foundations. Of course. They don't give any more choice than we would about that. Now add up the fact that...
Again, you're the one not giving choice. You're the one defending people who aren't giving things choice. So this argument isn't about who should make the choice, right? I mean, you're saying that it's wrong to make the choice to say no, and it's right to make the choice to say yes. The point is no choice, okay? And no choice ends up being, of course, no. But that's just the way it works out, all right? So you just don't do the imposition.
We have no way of knowing our future will be perfect. Well, I tell you what.
I tell you what.
The vapid
Blah, blah, blah. Vapid.
comments.
I'm sorry, that really wasn't a vapid comment. It was just one you should have tried to respond to. Exactly how do we justify the waste, the friction? Is the gas mileage, okay, of the vehicle human race sufficient to justify production? Okay, I mean, if we build a car and it gets 15 feet to a gallon, all right, it's just not a car you just keep building. There's just no point in it because nothing with a brain would buy it.
I tell you what, if you don't like it, you don't like life. Life's too much of a burden. The idea of life continuing is just too fucking much. Fuck off!
Fuck off. Yeah, right. Okay, so you're entitled to your opinion. Other people aren't entitled to their opinion. That's pretty much what you've said. And you have a right to impose on me, right? But I don't have a right to say, stop it. No, I think I do.
Wait, do yourself in. Stop plaguing the rest of us.
Yeah, whatever. This has been addressed so many times that it's just, obviously you're just doing it because you think it works for, what, on retarded people who haven't already heard the counter argument, which is there's absolutely no point for the anti-natalist to kill themselves. First, they're not saying their life sucks. They're saying life sucks in principle. They're saying maybe I am addicted, maybe this whole thing is just bullshit. That's what they're saying. I wouldn't make a new one is what they're saying. They're saying I wouldn't pass my addiction on to somebody else, but while I'm here, I'm going to keep smoking. That kind of thing. It'd be like a smoker who says, I'm not going to pass it on to some other kid. I'm not going to make a kid give him the addiction because I know it's a stupid addiction, but I'm certainly enjoying smoking. So this argument goes nowhere on so many levels. And even if the individual was completely miserable, there's still the simple argument that they can't accomplish their goal of preventing their re-existence, the existence again of more sentient beings, human beings, who will be reasonably educated with a tiny bit of knowledge necessary to say, oh, we're the consequence of unintelligent design, 4 billion years of carnage, to do what? Chase anything. Just pick something, and you can make a human chase it. Yeah, so it's all a contrived chase game, fake victories for silly ego gratification that adds up to exactly nothing, and it's at the price of this thing that we know to be really nasty, which is suffering. Yeah. No, yeah. That doesn't make sense. And obviously it'd be in the interest of any anti-natalist to hang around as long as possible to make that argument, to prevent as many births as possible.
That have the courage.
Nah.
The determination.
Oh look, you don't have you don't have the courage.
And view the entire.
You don't have the courage to make a rational argument. You don't have the courage to make your rhetoric match your logical argumentation. You don't have the courage not to resort to personal attacks and yeah, just pure weasel rhetoric. And you'll talk about other people's courage. You have no dick or balls, okay? You're just a cheater. And you're just a silly person on the internet. You're not a wise monkey. You're a spam monkey. You're a troll monkey. You're a waste of time monkey.
Process with an altruistic bent. Yes? Because I don't see any constructive critique here. I see nothing more than a simpering, subversive attachment to a sort of nihilistic insanity.
Again, nihilism doesn't have anything to do with fixing the world. This does. This respects suffering. Nihilism says it doesn't matter, basically. It creates some kind of notion that it all doesn't matter. Happy, sad, blue, green, it's all nothing. Well, that's just silly. That's your rosebushy kind of philosophy, that the future doesn't matter. If the future is going to completely suck, we shouldn't do anything to stop that from sucking because we're not going to live in it. That kind of imbecility is the stuff that's applauding your rhetoric, idiot. So you don't even get that right. You're making a fool's argument, and all you did, and you fooled your fools. So even though you were placating your fools are so stupid that you fooled them. Yeah.
So, if you're that attached to the philosophy that everything should die, stop.
No, everything should stop reproducing. Again, you just don't get it. Alright? And you can't get it, and you won't get it, and you refuse to get it, and you refuse to be fair to it, and that's the bottom line, right? It's not about dying, okay? It really isn't. It's about not reproducing. It's not about not imposing it. You get it? It's about not creating more need, want, desire, addiction. For no reason. No good reason.
Start off with your fucking self.
Yeah, well, most anti-natalists probably have, but some haven't. Some have had kids in the past and recognized that, whoops, I was reckless and stupid and egomaniacal, and I had nothing to do with serving any interest whatsoever but my own. But I mean, I certainly haven't had children, so I guess I have started with myself. And I knew not to have children when I was like 7 years old. As soon as I found out that children are something people make happen, by choice, I knew I'm not going to be making that choice.
Right. It might alleviate some suffering. My ears, for example.
Ah, yeah, right. As you're screaming at the microphone. Yeah, interesting. But again, another trivialization of suffering, right? So an annoying noise is what you qualify as suffering. Bone marrow transplant, nah, that's not suffering. Getting burned in a fire horribly, 70% of your body, nah, that's not suffering. Face transplant or something, nah, that's not suffering. No suffering there. No, the volume's too loud, that's suffering.
I don't want to hear it.
I don't want to hear it. We don't have to hear it. The point is, if you're going to make an argument against it, it has to be based on some sort of rational premise, like, I know life to be good because God told me so. Even that would be more rational than your non-existent premise. You don't have a premise. Your premise is culture. You have to do a little better than that. And then you have to make a logical statement. You have to say, well, look, we know life has a purpose and is fundamentally accomplishing something because of, and that certainly has more value than this imposition on these victims that we stomp while we do our little life parade. You know, but you're not doing any of that. None of that logical equation exists in any of your rhetoric. You either just laugh or yell, but nothing else. Silly monkey.
Antinatalism. People espousing this philosophy continuously, and then the hypocrisy of continuing to exist and recommend the death.
Again, it's not about continuing existence. It's not even about the circumstance of existence. It's about the dilemma of existence and the fact that when you create an existence, you're rolling dice with something else's welfare. So even if somebody was absolutely in love with life, especially their own, they could recognize that they can understand the risk and say, I wouldn't roll dice, though, with somebody else's welfare. I'm not going to take a chance that I will create somebody who won't be. I mean, even somebody who loves life can understand that they don't have the right to impose.
Of everyone else. Nonsense. Absolute.
Yeah, well, whatever. That was your argument was absolute nonsense. You've effectively lost all credibility. I mean, you always were a little bit of a snark and a pretentious little play your little Englishman game and your little insincere and fake salutations and all the other crap. But now you've completed your slide in any rational person's perspective into the category of just a mindless simpleton, another troll on the internet, somebody who doesn't give a fuck about the truth, making an argument. He's just going to play. He's just going to throw his little hat. You know, he's going to get in his little clown suit and he's going to march in the parade, and that's all you're doing. And it's quite obvious. No one's fooled anymore. Your clown makeup is showing, however to metaphor it. But yeah, so clown monkey, you fail again, even more spectacularly than you failed the first time.